This is just like another rep that tech is doing, the tech industry is doing on just like, I want to just say like breaking the rules, taking stuff that maybe they're, or not maybe, like this is not their work. They're using other people's work and copyrighted work and IP and using it to build these models that are now these billion-dollar companies. We're going through another cycle where artists are being, artists are an afterthought in this process. It makes me sad.
This episode is being supported by Tape It, the iPhone recording app made for musicians by musicians. Wasabi Noise says, "Hi Pomplamoose, given all that is going on with AI, are you approaching music creation in a different way to stand out against the noise? You are already established, but for independent artists, it feels like the only way to show authenticity is to share your process online and be really original with your sound," which in a way is something you've been doing because you share so much of your process online.
Oh, I have so many thoughts on this. The answer is yes. I am thinking about it differently than I've thought about it before. I don't know how I couldn't. When I first used ChatGPT and it wrote a story, back to me. I gave it a prompt, it wrote a story. Or when I used, these products that came out, that generate music, and I put in a prompt and then it came back at me with music. Honestly, like my first feelings that I really spent like probably a month or two coping with were like, just like deep sadness and maybe even some like depression around that. If I'm being totally honest, like there's this feeling of like, well then, like what am I making for? And is my creativity mine, or am I just statistically parroting bodies of work that are somehow stuck in my own, generation machine between my ears? And that was my initial impulse. And I'm much more optimistic about it now than I was back then. But I will say one big thing that has changed for me is like I would rather be. It has made me less interested in optimizing to make things that other people will like and that like the like music that should be made, and much more interested in full, true self-expression. Like I would rather make something at this point in my life, I would rather make something that is fully an expression of who I am. I would rather make that than something that is good. I don't want to say I don't care about making good things anymore or great things anymore, but I care less about it than making something that is real to who I am and my unique combination of history and music listening experiences and personality and identity. And that I think is ultimately where I don't think AI is going to be able to generate that. AI might be able to eventually listen to something that I make and kind of copy it, but it's not going to be able to make that first. I can make that first. And so yeah, my thinking like has kind of changed a bit. If I'm being honest, you could argue that I should have been much more interested in making something truly self-expressive even before AI. But I think a combination of AI happening and then where I am in my own life, I want to make something that is fully who I am. It has changed my approach and how I'm thinking about music making and self-expression as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. So Jack is really, really interested in AI and like studies it and knows so much about it. I don't spend a ton of time thinking about AI or even thinking about what's happening online. Like most of my life happens offline. And I don't spend a ton of time on my phone, but I do think that just I'm experiencing what a lot of people are experiencing, which is a sort of a disenchantment with all tech, all things happening on computers and screens, just a desire to be with people more, which comes out in the way that we're making music, how we're recording and writing in the studio with other people. And also, I think in Jack and I are both in this phase that I feel like we've never been in with our solo projects, where we just want to be able to play and perform our songs for people in real life. Which I know sounds like, well, yeah, that's kind of what musicians do. But it isn't what we've done. What we've done has been primarily on screens. For the last 17 years of the band, we have been making songs in a very small room together and then making videos of those songs for people and very rarely touring. So I think it's interesting that both of us are at a point with our music where we want the creative process to be with other people, and we want there to be some performance aspect to it.
Time for a quick Tape It feature highlight. Among many of the brilliant features within Tape It, you can add a widget that lets you record straight from your lock screen. So when you have a song idea, just press record and focus on your music. To find out more, follow the link in the description or use the promo code TAPENOTES for 20% off Tape It Pro.
I can't mention AI without getting on a bit of a soapbox for just 1 minute here. I'm so bummed about the way this is happening and sad. And the reason is because I actually think the tools are really cool. I really like using ChatGPT. It helps me. There's something really interesting about it. There's a plugin that I use called SynPlant that uses AI and machine learning to model sounds, and then it tweaks an FM synthesizer, and you can use samples, and then it'll build a synth that mimics that sample. And like, some of these tools are really useful, really cool, and really artistic, and I think can amplify my artistry. And so I'm interested in these tools, and I like them, and I think they're cool, and I think people will make really great things with them. And yet, artists' work is being used and ingested against their will and without compensation, which is like antithetical to everything that I've put so many hours into in my life for the last 12 years with Patreon. And this is just like another rep that tech is doing, the tech industry is doing on just like, I want to just say like breaking the rules, taking stuff that maybe or not maybe, like this is not their work. They're using other people's work and copyrighted work and IP and using it to build these models that are now these billion-dollar companies, and that needs to be fixed over the next couple years. Like, as we figure this out, like, artists need to be paid for their work when it is used, or they need to be able to opt out. And I'm optimistic in that I think such a system will come to be, but I'm nervous and upset in the meantime that we're going through another cycle where artists are being artists are an afterthought in this process. It makes me sad.